Fox Sports.
We are Black Hawk. We are Florida.
A quick day right after a long night. The Dodgers winners last night. The Marlins and Dodgers right back at it for a lunchtime affair at Marlins Park. The Dodgers, the hottest team in baseball. The Marlins got game one of the series, and we've got the Goodyear Blimp. The Dodgers winning the next two. This would be game four. This would be Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton. The Dodgers have lived up to everything we read about, saw, expected in this series.
Yeah, they've been a solid team. I think the one thing that's impressed you and I has been the bullpen as well. We all knew they had starting pitching and offense, but they're a very solid team. Yasiel
Puig has stolen most of the headlines for the Dodgers, but the Marlins knew there's one guy in that lineup that they just have not been able to get out, and it's not only these Marlins, but Marlins in years past, and that's Andre Ethier.
Andre Ethier is one of those hitters. He has that nice, compact, easy swing, and boy, has he done some damage over the years against the Marlins. Look at that, 48 games in his career against the Fish with 7 home runs and OPS over 1,000. Since June 6th, Andre Ethier is hitting over 300. He's the kind of hitter that he'll just take balls the other way if he needs to. He'll drive a ball for a home run if it's needed. He's just a pure hitter.
In a cruel twist of scheduling, the Marlins face the Dodgers' best, baseball's best, Clayton Kershaw today.
Yeah, and they saw a pretty good one in the ballgame last night in Zach Greinke. But as far as Major League rankings, look at where the left-hander ranks. First. ERA, opponent's average, whip, and innings. Clayton Kershaw won a Cy Young in 2011. He's got a real good chance to win another one this year.
In our Coventry Healthcare matchup, on the other side, Henderson Alvarez trying to bounce back. He's not had the best of August. He had a very good July.
Yeah, he's making his first ever start against the Dodgers, so a lot of these guys haven't seen him. One thing he has been able to do is show a little consistency. He's gone 6 or more innings, 8 straight starts.
One guy who has shown some consistency, at least over the last week, is Giancarlo Stanton. He is consistently hitting the cover off the ball right now. And so Giancarlo Stanton and the Marlins get ready to take on these Los Angeles Dodgers. We take stock of Stanton's blast with Jeff Conine and Craig Minervini when we return. goes. Marlins Park ready for business. Marlins and Dodgers out to center field. Craig and Niner.
A very large shadow. Hi, Rich, and hi, everybody, with Niner. Craig, here we go with Marlins Dodgers, the finale of the series. Boy, good to see Giancarlo Stanton heating up. Do you look at him as a stock, like a stock market, when you look at his numbers?
Yeah, his stock is on the rise right now, but it was on the decline first part of this month of August. He really struggled, but when he gets it right, there's nobody that hits the ball like this guy. I mean, when he squares it up as he did last night against Zach Greinke, hanging slider, 110 miles per hour off the bat, from bat to seat in 4 seconds flat, 4.0.
He's on fire. He's got 16 homers now, and he's had a great series, 538, 400 during the homestand with 3 homers. We talk about the stock. The problem, if you're a fantasy baseball player, you probably paid high in April, and he didn't have a good start and then got hurt. But maybe if you dumped him and somebody picked him up mid-season, and now all of a sudden the stock is rising.
Yes, indeed. You see June was his best month so far, but there's only 18 games played, so he was coming off that injury. Didn't get to play the first part of that month of June, but came out of the gates swinging very well. And right now at the end of August, he could double those numbers in a week. He could triple those numbers in a week as hot as he is right now.
That's how he gets, and we've seen him all year long. But the nice thing, I think Tommy pointed out, was the line drive to center that kind of started this off, and it's not just homers. When he hits everything.
Well, he hits everything, and he hits with such velocity. Even his ground balls have such velocity on them that they don't need to get through a hole. They can whiz right by an infielder without taking a step because it's so fast.
For extra bases.
Yeah, for extra bases. One step to the left on a shortstop could be a triple.
All right, it's fun to watch. Giancarlo Stanton try to keep it going here against a tough pitcher, one of the best, if not the best, in baseball. Coming up today, Dodgers, Marlins, the season finale is coming up between these two teams. We'll see you in the postgame.
Night turns to day, and lunchtime arrives in Little Havana. Miami and the Dodgers finish off a 4-game series today. Marlins Park, the Dodgers winners last night, winning 4-1. Dodgers also capturing Game 2, 6-4. Marlins won the opener, 6-2. Oh, you're just killing me as the Dodgers lineup comes in over A little double-double, In-N-Out Burger. Jan Lexus brings it to you. Carl Crawford leads it off. Nick Punto gets a start at short. No Hanley Ramirez in the lineup. Adrian Gonzalez at first. Yasiel Puig in right. Andre Ethier in center. A.J. Ellis will do the catching. Skip Schumacher's at second. Juan Uribe at third. And Clayton Kershaw likes his animal style. Always a place to go when you hit California. Henderson Alvarez, his first look at the Dodgers. And Alvarez trying to bounce back a little bit. His last 3 starts, he's been knocked around some. He had a very good July, and he'd like to get back to that.
You know, Rich, part of the good news, even in that last outing against San Francisco, Henderson went 7 innings. He had that one bad inning, the 4th inning. The Giants scored all 4 runs that they would get in that game. Actually, 4 was kind of unlucky for him. 4 hits, 4 runs, 4 walks, 4 strikeouts in that game for Henderson Alvarez. One of the things he's done, he's been consistent. He's been able to go 6 or more innings in 8 consecutive starts. And as you mentioned, first ever appearance against these Los Angeles Dodgers.
Miami's defense behind Alvarez is brought to you by the Cleveland Clinic, Florida.
Well, you check in the outfield, you see Justin Ruggiano getting the start this afternoon. He's in center field. Giancarlo and Christian Yelich flank him. Lucas Echeverria, it's been a rough go in August for Etch. He's made 13 errors, but he's made 6 in the month of August. Solano and Lomo on the right side, and Jeff Mathis, who the Marlins are 27 and 24 when Mathis catches. He's behind the plate.
Mike Redmond told us outset of the series, the Dodgers are so good and so hot that the Marlins can ill afford to make mistakes. Pitcher Penny brings you the first pitch, and by that he meant walks and errors. And last night the Marlins kicked it around a bit. They made 3 errors, and it cost them a couple errors in their loss in Game 2. A line shot right at Echeverria, barreled up by Crawford certainly, and allowed out to open up the day here in Miami.
Well, as a pitcher, you like those loud outs. The ball hit hard, but right at a well-positioned Echeverria.
The versatile Nick Punto gets a start at shortstop. He's part of that Dodger bench that we talked about. A really good bench. Veteran. Punto, switch hitting infielder. You could play him at all 3 infield spots. And a long-time big leaguer. Always been a nice piece wherever he's been, whether it's with the Twins or the Cardinals. Last year, Boston and the Dodgers. He was part of the trade. It was interesting as we were in Los Angeles and those players walked into Dodger Stadium. There was Beckett. There was Gonzalez. There was, actually Crawford wasn't there. He was hurt. And then there was Punto up the middle, backhanded. Solano, nice play. Punto was kind of the fifth Beatle, or the...
He was like the Joe Blanton of the pitching staff of the Phillies.
Yeah, the Three Stooges, the later years. The one you never recognized.
Shemp.
Or Curly Joe, I think. Anyways, nice little player.
You get the idea.
Nice little player. And he bounces out. Here comes Adrian Gonzalez, who was at the front of the line when they walked into Dodger Stadium.
The one thing about Punto and their bench, they have guys like him, Schumacher, Hairston, guys who are very versatile and good veteran-type extra men.
Gonzalez going a little old school with the high socks.
And this guy is just a solid hitter. Plays all the time. Doesn't like days off. He was given one the last day in Philadelphia when the Dodgers were there. He likes to be in there all the time.
Just a complete hitter. You see his career numbers. And remember, a good chunk of that was spent in a pitcher's park in San Diego. Not that Dodger Stadium is a hitter's haven. Very much a fair ballpark. For some reason, whatever it was, Gonzalez and Boston just didn't mesh. Whether it was the makeup of the team, where that organization was at that point. That one pulled down the line and foul. but a career low in slugging percentage and home runs last year. 123 games spent with Boston.
Yeah, but that wasn't the case in 2011 with Boston. Yeah, he had a fantastic year.
Sprays that ground ball in the hole. Echeverria on his feet. Long throw. Morrison's tag is just above the helmet of Gonzalez. It's a base hit for Gonzalez. Echeverria did just about everything humanly possible. The high throw and an infield hit.
Well, he knew he had a shot. That's why he scrambled up and tried to get rid of it quickly. He knew he had a shot because one of the things Adrian Gonzalez does not do very well is run. And he had time, but the throw with the degree of difficulty was a tough one to make and pulled Lomo off the bag. Not too many infield hits for Adrian Gonzalez.
Yasiel Puig, when he walked in this place on Monday night, obviously the center of attention. And he pops the first pitch up to third. Ed Lucas in foul territory. Yeah, nice first inning for Henderson Alvarez. And now Miami gets a look at baseball's best, Clayton Kershaw. The distance inspires what they roll into yours. Goodyear, more driven. Terrific view of downtown Miami. Dodgers and Marlins are underway. In the bottom of the first, here come the Fish, brought to you by JM Lexus. 21-year-old Christian Yelich in left. Donovan Solano's at second. Red-hot Giancarlo Stanton hits third. Logan Morrison at first. Ed Lucas is at third. Justin Ruggiano facing the team that drafted him out of Texas A&M. Danny Echeverria is at short. Jeff Mathis does the catching. And Henderson Alvarez hits ninth.
And there's a good look at Clayton Kershaw. The amazing thing with some of the things he's done in his career already, 3 times an All-Star, the year he's having this year, he's still just 25 years old and has a tremendous future ahead. He's also this year already thrown 190 1/3 innings.
Yelich takes down low. Christian Yelich, couple hits, couple doubles in the series. Solano and Stanton to follow. And of course, Kershaw, the ace of a Dodger starting staff that pitching coach Rick Honeycutt said is the best he's had in 8 years.
That's something, because he's had some pretty good ones. And as you watch Kershaw, one of the, I don't want to say it's a mystique because everybody sees him, but he hides the ball well. He's not throwing 97, 98 miles an hour, but when you watch his delivery, he hides the ball very well, so it's tough for hitters to pick it up.
He's 3-0 on Yelich, and he lost a fastball that misses up. Well, the Dodgers have 3 starters with an ERA of under 3. Kershaw, Zach Greinke, and Hyun-Jin Ryu. And there's Honeycutt. And Honeycutt was talking about the staff. It said not only has he got Kershaw, Greinke, and Ryu, but Nolasco has been a great addition. Capuano, when he's on, is very good as well.
Well, here's the comparison. When Ricky was here this year, beginning of the year, and his entire time here, he was the Marlins' #1 starter. He goes to the Dodgers, he becomes their #4 starter.
Yelich was close over at first. You got to be careful. Kershaw, good around the mound, good move to first.
Good athlete, pretty good hitter.
The only thing standing between Kershaw and a second consecutive Cy Young was the storybook season of R.A. Dickey last year. Kershaw finished second in the Cy Young voting. He won the award in 2011.
Yeah, Kershaw, 229 strikeouts, a little more than a strikeout an inning last year.
And there's his first strike of the day, a breaking ball in the inside corner.
Yeah, he had trouble with his fastball, throwing it for a strike, so he dropped in a breaking ball for strike 1.
5 day games in baseball today. This one of the first out of the chute. Dodgers and Marlins.
Ball
2-1. Diamondbacks and Reds are underway as well. The Dodgers lead ballooned yesterday. Cincinnati beat Arizona, and so Los Angeles has a healthy 8.5 game lead in the National League West. To first, he was leaning, and Yelich just back in.
With Yelich leaning, you have to wonder just a bit if maybe a hit and run is on here with a 2-1 count on Solano.
You got a young runner at first trying to figure out the veteran's move. One of the charms of Kershaw is in his windup or in his preparation from the stretch. It's sort of a throwback 30s, 20s, maybe even Bugs Bunny type with the hands up and the dramatic draw down before he delivers.
And he finally comes set right at the letters.
And sometimes he will come quickly to the plate. Sometimes he'll settle and pause.
Yeah, he's got a pretty good slide step for a guy who's a power pitcher.
Counts full, 3-2. Solano with a roller, diving stop, Schumacher on his feet. That's a terrific play by Skip Schumacher, robbing Solano of a hit. Yelich now is at second, and he's part of a Dodger defense, which is brought to you by the Cleveland Clinic, Florida.
Well, we check in with the outfield. You'll see Crawford, Ethier, and Puig. A little different look up the middle with Punto and Schumacher, a couple of talented veterans. Uribe and Gonzalez at the corners, and A.J. Ellis behind the plate.
Now Stanton. Jeff Conine, Craig Minervini documenting just how hot Stanton is, how hard the balls are coming off of his bat. Just even his base hits, the singles and doubles are over 100 miles an hour off the bat. He cranked one out of here at 110 miles an hour and has had a great series, 7 for 13. But he runs into Kershaw. He has faced Kershaw before.
Well, he's seen a couple of sliders, too, first 2 pitches.
Stanton 3 for 12 and has homered against Kershaw. And he swings and misses And a breaking ball.
Well, he saw 2 sliders / cutters. Some call it slider, some cutter. Then he saw the 12-6 curveball that Kershaw features that stayed away. I think Stanton was hoping it maybe would come catch a little bit of the plate, and it stayed off the plate.
A real test now for Logan Morrison. The Marlins have seen a long line of lefties, starting with Madison Bumgarner on Sunday, Youngjin Ryu on Monday, Chris Capuano on Tuesday. But of course, this is the premier lefty in the big leagues in Kershaw. And he bounces a fastball up there. You see Kershaw is upset with himself right now. He can't throw that fastball for strikes.
Can't throw the fastball for strikes. We've seen the deliberate delivery, hides the ball well, and Giancarlo saw the nasty 12-6. So he's broken it all out here in the first inning. The problem that Kershaw is having is command of that fastball, though.
Well, he's had to go to the breaking ball to get strikes. Yelich still at second.
Kind of shows you, though, the quality of pitcher he is. We know he's struggling with the fastball. He knows that, throwing it for strikes. He missed again. But he's able to get the slider. He's been able to throw that for strikes.
All right, in this case, it's 2-0, and he can't throw the fastball for strikes.
I think he throws that cutter or slider just to throw it over for a get-me-over strike.
Let's see if Morrison is sitting on it. Nope, went back to the fastball.
Went to the fastball.
And he finally put it right down the middle at 94 miles an hour.
I think that's the first one he's thrown for a strike.
It's humid, obviously, in South Florida. And right now, Kershaw almost in a full lather in the first inning. Dallas, Texas. 2-1 coming to Morrison. Also shows you what kind of pitcher he is, in that he can't throw the fastball for strikes. He's 2-0 on Morrison, so what does he do? Gosh darn it, I'm going to throw this fastball for a strike.
Yeah, I'm going to get command of this pitch.
Instead of going away from it, he decided to try to tame it. Now he's 2-2.
And we told you earlier, lefties against Kershaw this year, hitting 147.
Breaking ball, check swing, no swing, says James Hoy. So Morrison finally saw the 12-6.
This is kind of fun. After watching all this, a little struggle with the command of the fastball. We saw some good sliders to Stanton. We saw a missed curveball there. Does he go back to the fastball? Does he go slider on 3-2?
Normally he does whatever he wants. Here's his 3-2. Fastball in.
What he's going to see today, though, in the 2 left-handers that he'll face in the lineup, in Yelich, who drew a walk, and in Morrison, is that he'll face 2 left-handers who are pretty patient at the plate.
Don't normally chase.
Yes.
Christian Yelich still at second. There are 2 outs. We're just underway in Miami. Clayton Kershaw, 3-2 pitch to Morrison. Fastball hit hard, and Punto, or rather Schumacher, picks it up, fires to first in time. And a loud out by Morrison. low places. By AT&T U-verse TV. Check availability. 1-800-PICK-AT&T. Rethink possible. By Just for Men, mustache and beard. And by Checkers. Feast on. In Miami, the Marlins had some good swings against Clayton Kershaw. Skip Schumacher made two very nice plays out at second, and thus a scoreless game into the second. And the captain of the Marlin Killer team, Andre Ethier, stands in. A.J. Ellis, and then Schumacher. There's that slow curveball that Alvarez will show a hitter. He'll throw maybe 3 or 4 of those a game.
Yeah, you know what? The last few starts, we've seen it a little bit more.
Not quite an ephus curve. Not Dave LaRoche's Lalab.
We saw Jose Fernandez break his out this year, and he hit a batter.
You know, the last guy I saw throw that with regularity was Levon Hernandez.
Yeah, Levon used to do that later in his career, especially.
0-2 pitch. Check swing. Did he go?
Levon probably out on the golf course right now, somewhere here in the Miami area.
Now, Ethier's numbers just continue to boggle. Matt Diaz-like. And that he's hitting .395. And he is the active leader with guys that have at least 100 at-bats. Not this time, though. Solano makes the play. And there's an out in the second. Marlins and Rockies tomorrow night's a Fireworks Friday, folks. August 23rd, that's it. It's on your calendar. It's circled at 7:10. Sir Pizza 4-pack includes 4 tickets, 4 personal Sir Pizzas, 4 Pepsi soft drinks. Just $60. Stay in your seats after the game, and the Fireworks Spectacular will be presented by Bacardi. Go to Marlins.com for details. This will be A.J. Ellis. Alvarez misses away.
You know, by retiring Ethier, it's almost a moral victory against the Dodger lineup.
Ethier had 4 hits in the series coming in. Pulled the third. Lucas had a rough patch last night, but he fires across in time to get Ellis.
Yeah, the good thing he did on that play, and also knowing that Ellis was the runner, a little bobble on a ball that came up to him, but he took his time, and I think he got caught a couple of times the last 2 games in rushing plays, and it cost him errors. A little bobble, but no problem. Slow the game down, and there's the out.
Now Schumacher, who has already affected the game with his defense, gets an at-bat. 1 for 5 with a double. Schumacher, a Southern California native. He was such a valuable piece to Tony La Russa and the Cardinals, be it an infielder, mostly at second, or in the outfield. He was able to go to the outfield and help the Cardinals when they needed it. It's one thing the Cardinals, I was talking with John Mozeliak, their general manager and president, last week. It's one thing they really stress in the minor leagues is if you can play multiple positions, that could get you to the big leagues, and it could keep you in the big leagues.
Do I hear Daniel Descalso?
Nick Punto is a great example.
Punto was a part of it.
Aaron Miles.
Aaron Miles, a little switch hitter, a lot of positions.
Cardinals have always had 2 or 3 of those guys on their roster. 1-2 to Schumacher. I hit him. That's your literal definition of a back foot breaking ball.
It found the back foot. That's not the initial intent. Got right on the toe. Here's the analogy I put to this. First appearance for Henderson Alvarez against the Dodgers. However, in 3 starts against the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, a 2-0 record and an ERA under 2. Is that too much of a stretch?
Well, if you somehow tie in either Disney or In-N-Out Burger to it.
I would tie in In-N-Out Burger.
All right, that connects Anaheim with Los Angeles.
And ever since they went to the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Because in order to get there, you have to take the 5.
That's right. Well, you would start on the Pasadena before you got to the 5.
210.
That one smothered by Mathis. And it counts 1-1. We've been talking about Uribe and what a renaissance he's had this year in terms of numbers. The Dominican Republic, 2 World Series rings. He was a shortstop on that White Sox team, and he was a postseason hero for the Giants in 2010. And this year he's munched the Marlins 9 for 14. Alvarez trying to pick at that outside corner.
Juan Uribe, I think this would fool a lot of people. 164 career home runs.
Well, that in his heroics with the Giants, he homered in both the NLCS and the World Series in that win over the Rangers.
He's a guy who always is ready for that fastball. And he's got himself in a fastball count. Whether Henderson Alvarez gives it to him, we'll see.
And you can see the last 2 pitches were out. They're right on top of each other. Rand Eye Institute bringing you Fox Tracks.
Good job.
You know, the thing about Uribe, and we saw it last night, he pulls the ball, and everybody knows he pulls the ball. And sometimes he gets around so fast. That time he got around, the ball hit literally at the end of the bat and popped to the...
Well, that's because he was 3-1 looking fastball, and he got the breaking ball from Alvarez.
Last night, he hit a couple foul balls over his left shoulder. He was around so early on an inside pitch. And that's hard to do. 3-2 coming. And it's out. So Alvarez loses Uribe. The consolation prize is Kershaw, and he's no pushover at the plate. Kershaw can hurt you at the plate. Got 9 hits. He's homered, 3 doubles, and against the Marlins in his career, 4 for 14, 286. Kershaw rolls over on one. Solano waits for Uribe to clear and then throws Kershaw out. Alvarez has navigated a couple scoreless innings.
Es presentado en SAP por Coventry Healthcare of Florida.
Always a fun day when we've got the Goodyear blimp to play around with. And our thanks to them. Scoreless in the second, Dodgers and Marlins. Find your best connection to the Marlins and all your other favorite Florida sports teams with the Fox Sports Florida Girls. Join the conversation online with Jordana and Annalie by liking them on Facebook, following them on Twitter and Instagram. Certainly a much more compelling follow than Tommy and I on Twitter.
Yeah, we can be a little mundane at times, but Jordana and Annalie spark it up a little bit.
Ed Lucas, Justin Ruggiano, Adeiny Echeverria against Clayton Kershaw, who wasn't real sharp in the first, and it took two nice plays by Skip Schumacher to keep Miami off the board. Schumacher robbed Donovan Solano of a hit and then corralled that screaming one hopper off the bat of Morrison. That finished the inning. Lucas in the 5 spot. Last night, a couple of hits, a 2-for-3 night. He fires one foul and out of play.
The other thing, too, in that first inning, the Marlins made Kershaw throw 20 pitches to get the 3 outs. He has had a start here before. He started the game here last year.
Lucas up the middle. Ed Lucas got another hit. Leadoff single. And that'll bring Ruggiano to the plate. Now last year, Justin Ruggiano against Kershaw. Banged one out of here.
Looked like he got a nice high fastball on that pitch.
Kershaw seems to be throwing more fastballs to the lefties than to the righties. The righties have seen a lot of breaking balls.
To show you how tough Kershaw has been in his last 2 starts, he's gone 16 innings, has given up just 16 hits and 1 run and 16 strikeouts. So he's been fantastic all year, but his last two starts pretty spectacular.
One of the things that really jumps out at you is the innings total, and you pointed it out. He's at 191 innings now. And it's August, 22nd. Ruggiano cuts on a breaking ball in the dirt.
That'll make it consecutive years over 200 innings, which he'll get to 200 innings. This will be 4 straight years.
Oh, he'll bust right through 200 innings, and the question will be
how you manage him.
Yeah, when he gets to the postseason, do they slow him down in September? And of course, here we are talking about Kershaw and 190 innings at this point, and at the outset of our broadcast day, we compared Kershaw to Sandy Koufax, and his workload just unbelievable. Especially that big year in 66. Ball in the dirt. It's going to advance the runner. Ellis knocks it down. Lucas advances. Wild pitch.
Yeah, Koufax's final season, 1966, he was 30 years old. He threw well over 300 innings that year.
41 starts.
41 starts.
And, of course, the elbow, he pitched through pain a lot in the later stages of his career. And finally, the pain was just too much. And Kershaw ready with a 2-2 coming to Ruggiano. Breaking ball misses. You were talking to the great Jaime Jarrín about Koufax and the end of his career.
Jaime Jarrín, the Hall of Fame Spanish broadcaster for the Dodgers, said that Sandy Koufax told him many times that had modern technology been around, he would have pitched 5 or 6 years more.
Ruggiano walks. Well, the comparison between Kershaw and Koufax, there's a lot in common. Kershaw is still only 25, so he's just starting out. But he's running off all the categories. He's won a Cy Young, a strikeout title, an ERA title. He's led the league in wins. You see how many times Koufax has done that in his great career, his Hall of Fame career.
And you brought up an interesting point, and it was true of Koufax. He was a late bloomer. His first 6 years with the Dodgers, and the first 4 of those in Brooklyn, and he didn't pitch a lot. He was young. He came up when he was 19. He was 36-40 in his first 6 years.
A lot of that had to do with the contract he signed.
Yeah, he had that bonus. I think he signed for $100,000. They had to keep him on the team the entire year. But the year he was 25, he won 18 games, and that's when he kind of took off.
Right now, the Marlins have an opportunity here. Kershaw has opened the door a crack just like the first inning. A leadoff hit by Lucas. He moved up on a wild pitch, a walk to Ruggiano. That pitch easily could have been a strike, but right now, Kershaw having trouble finding the strike zone.
These were some of the opportunities we saw last night the bottom part of the order had, and they just weren't able to get that big hit.
Jeff Mathis is on deck. Henderson Alvarez behind Mathis. Echeverria takes away, and it's 3-1.
This is a struggling Clayton Kershaw right now. He's had 5 3-ball counts out of 7 batters.
Look at that ball strike ratio. I mean, you just don't see that with Kershaw. 27th start, he had walked only 40 coming into play. He's walked a couple. He's 3-1 on Echeverria. Chopper towards short. Out there. No. Now they'll call him out on the transfer. Schumacher, as he tried to exchange it to go from glove to hand to make the throw, dropped the ball, and that's an out.
And I don't know if he would have had a play at first base. Good hard slide by Ruggiano just to upset him enough to get Lucas over to third. So the out, called at second.
All you have to do is secure it for a moment in your glove if you are a middle infielder. Outfielders, you got to have a little more than just briefly in your glove. Big at bat for Mathis now. Obviously, the Dodger infield is looking for a ground ball, and you got a catcher at the plate. Lucas and Echeverria at the corners. Mathis, shallow right, and with Puig, that's probably not deep enough.
No.
Tagging is Lucas, and Puig's throw comes to the plate on a hop. And the Marlins, now with 2 outs, need something out of their pitcher, Henderson Alvarez.
Yeah, he's very shallow. Actually, a runner would not go on any right fielder. Puig excites the crowd, but where he was playing, any runner at third is going to stay put.
Now, Alvarez has actually had a good year at the plate for someone that had come up in the American League with the Blue Jays. Somewhat of a surprise. He's 5 for 16. He's driven in 3 runs. He fouls it at the plate.
He has some aggressive swings, too.
Lucas opened the inning with a single. After Ruggiano walked, Echeverria forced him at second. Broken bat, little tapper. Uribe gathers it in and throws him out. And the Marlins come up empty after getting the first 2 runners on against Kershaw. Dodger Brain Trust there. Don Mattingly, the skipper. Rick Honeycutt, pitching coach. Scoreless ball game in the third. Twitter poll. Is Don Mattingly the National League Manager of the Year? Hashtag DMatt. With 2 T's, yes. Hashtag DMatt. 2 T's, no. National League Manager of the Year. Tommy Hutton, if you were to pick a National League Manager of the Year right now, right here.
Right now, at this moment, I would vote for Clint Hurdle.
I'm with you. I would go Clint Hurdle as well because of the absolutely incredible rebuilding job he's done. But Mattingly deserves credit. Freddie Gonzalez deserves
I would throw Mattingly and Freddie Gonzalez right behind.
Craig Minervini, you've got more?
Well, I put him in that mix too, guys. But Don Mattingly, as you may recall, great Yankee, left the game for a little bit, was a special hitting instructor for the Yanks from the late 90s into 2003. And then he returned as a coach with the Yanks. You saw his great career as a player from 82 to 95. Over 2,100 hits, left because of the back injury. At the age of 34, it was an ailment he had to deal with for a while. But as for his coaching career, got off with the Yankees there as an assistant and then a hitting coach, was up for the job. Girardi got the job. He left to go to L.A. He told me that going to L.A. as a coach under Joe Torre really helped him because he's an American League guy, played his whole career there and coached there, and learning the NL game under Torre really helped set him up for this job as the Dodger manager. But you recall, he had to go to the Arizona Fall League to get a little experience. He was named the Dodger manager, I guess it was late 2010, got a little experience in the Fall League, and he's enjoying the thing. He really likes the strategy. He says it has taken a while to get adjusted, especially the first few months as the skipper. But he's great with the media too, guys. I know you've been listening to him. He's an Indiana guy. He's got a lot of charm and a lot of patience too.
Evansville, Indiana.
Yeah.
We had that story last night where his son, drafted by the Dodgers in the first round, spent 6 years in the minor leagues, never got above A-ball. His son is going back to play college basketball at Lamar under Pat Knight. So if you're raised in Evansville, you know a thing or two about basketball. Crawford's at the plate. He pulls one on the ground. Morrison has it, gets to the bag in time. No one has to jump over him or around him. And there's one out.
Good communication. You heard Jeff Mathis get over there. Remember, there was a little mistake by Alvarez being late in his last outing. And no problem hearing Mathis there.
Yeah, that's one of the interesting dynamics with Mattingly managing in Los Angeles and now Ryne Sandberg managing the Phillies. You don't necessarily see superstars. You know, Mattingly, as Craig has pointed out, if he stays healthy and has 3 or 4 more years, he's probably a Hall of Famer. Sandberg is a Hall of Famer. You don't see those guys managing in the game very often.
Yeah, and the difference, as Craig pointed out with Mattingly, other than a few games he managed in the Arizona Fall League, he had never managed a baseball game. Sandberg, on the other hand, managed in the minor league system with the Cubs, managed in the minor league system with the Phillies. So I know there were some detractors in his first year, people in Los Angeles questioning some of his moves, saying, well, he's never managed before.
Morrison had to back up on this one. He needs Alvarez to get there in a high toss. Alvarez showing his dexterity. A nice reach to get the out, and there's 2 outs.
Yeah, he's hoping, okay, give me that chest-high feed. Well, the feed's a little higher than chest-high, and a good reaction by Alvarez.
Adrian Gonzalez comes to the plate. I mean, there are certainly different pathways to get to a big league managing job. Mike Redmond spent just 2 years managing for the Toronto Blue Jays organization down in Single A. But the Marlins were familiar with him, liked him, always knew he wanted to manage, and saw that he was good at it. All the reports were that he was good at it, and they gave him his opportunity.
Hey, the club the Marlins will see this weekend, the Rockies. Walt Weiss.
He was managing a high school team last year.
Yeah, coaching in that situation. And he'd come out, he'd help the Rockies when they were in town, but had never managed at the professional level.
Here's the 0-1. Alvarez misses. Gonzalez had an infield hit back in the first. Dodgers left a runner in the first. They left 2 in the second. Alvarez has a couple ground balls to Logan Morrison here in the third.
So it is amazing. There are different paths to take.
You know, Arizona has a guy that was a MVP managing, Kirk Gibson. And his path is similar to Mattingly's in that he served as a bench coach in Arizona.
The other thing you can kind of weave into this, a lot of excellent hitting coaches. Mattingly, Charlie Manuel, Clint Hurdle, they were all hitting coaches too.
There's the 2-2. Got him. Alvarez with his first strikeout of the game. He gets Gonzalez and his first 1-2-3 inning of the day. Lunchtime in Miami. Scoreless. In Miami, the Dodgers and the Marlins are scoreless in the bottom of the third. This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Miami Marlins and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins.
The Dodgers, after this game, head west to Los Angeles, open up a 3-game series tomorrow night against the Red Sox.
This is very much a transition day in baseball. A lot of getaway day games, 5-day games, some night games. And certainly not a full schedule, kind of a half schedule. Christian Yelich, Donovan Solano, and Giancarlo Stanton. In the third, if you're just happening by, it's Clayton Kershaw against Henderson Alvarez. And the Marlins have had opportunities in both innings against Kershaw.
Well, there have been a couple of things that have happened. The Marlins have had good at-bats. Yelich had a nice at-bat to draw the walk. And the other thing that Kershaw hasn't had the best of command.
Called strike, 1-2.
Probably the best pitch he's had has been that pitch, the slider.
Well, that's right on the black. And he gets him. And he's got a history against the Marlins, does Clayton Kershaw. He's been very good against them. Let's go back in our AT&T Uverse Rewind. In Los Angeles, Kershaw beat the Marlins 8-0. 10 punch-outs, a 2-hit shutout. He's 4-1 with a 2.38 ERA in 6 career starts.
So the Marlins were able to avoid him in Los Angeles, not able to do so here. It's his first start against the Marlins this year.
Donovan Solano. He poked a ball between Gonzalez and Schumacher that looked like it was going to right field. Schumacher gets it here, and it was Schumacher that made the diving, sprawling stop, got up, threw him out. That was a big play back in the first.
Now, right now, Giancarlo coming up. Remember, he saw 2 sliders, and then Kershaw struck him out with the big curveball. Stanton 7 for 14 in this series. That's a cutter. Just a little late movement.
One and 2. Kershaw looking for a brief inning because his first 2 innings, the Marlins were able to extend his pitch count. This will be number 47. Stanton not biting on that one. The home run last night, a line shot to left. Monday night, a laser beam to deep left center. Went about 440 feet. Well, the count full now, 3 and 2.
Now the fastballs that he's thrown to Stanton, he's been real careful with. You got a feeling he'll go with that cutter or slider.
Hammered it left field, and that's going to the gap. My goodness. Everything he hits has a vapor trail on it.
I don't know if you can appreciate how hard people will watch Stanton night in and night out. There's a cutter that kind of stayed off the plate outside. He wanted that in on his hand. And you're right. In this run that Stanton's on, a 9-game hitting streak now, he's 8 for 15 in the series. Every ball he's hit, he has scorched.
His 100th career double. He has 8 hits in this series. And here's Morrison, who had a very good at bat in the first. Schumacher made a terrific play at second, and that kept the Marlins off the scoreboard. The Marlins had runners first and second and nobody out. Look at that, 106 miles an hour off the bat. Matt Morrison's 0-1. Kershaw, a couple strikeouts and a couple walks.
What do you think about the way Giancarlo was swinging the bat a couple of weeks ago? Remember, even Mike Redmond gave him the game off in Kansas City. At one point, in an 11-game stretch, Stanton was 4 for 40.
Swinging and missing a lot of hittable pitches.
Yeah. Front side was coming out, shoulder was coming off.
Morrison did a nice job just to stay on that. Kershaw was taken in 2006, just to show you the inexact science of that drafting in baseball is. The pitchers taken before him, Luke Hochevar was the first overall by the Royals.
And he's in the bullpen now with Kansas City.
Greg Reynolds out of Stanford, was the second pick by the Rockies. Evan Longoria was the third pick. Nice pick there. Brad Lincoln by the Pirates at 4. Here's the 0-2. Morrison drives it left field towards the line. Long run. Crawford, and he can't make the catch, and it's in foul territory.
Boy, he has great speed, and he had a long way to go just to get the glove on it, but once he got there, he was in foul territory. That was close. Wow, this is close, whether he's in foul territory or not.
Well, it's where the ball is when he touches it.
It's pretty close.
It is.
Closer than it looked when I first saw it.
That's one of those plays.
It's headed in foul direction.
That next year will have instant replay, you would think. The one challenge there is making sure you have the correct camera angle. In the dirt. And Morrison goes after it and strikes out. Marlins leave another runner in scoring position. Inspires what they roll into yours. Goodyear, more driven. In Miami, traffic moving smoothly on the Dolphin. And a scoreless ball game in the fourth. The Marlins and the Dodgers. Henderson Alvarez gets Yasiel Puig, Andre Ethier, A.J. Ellis.
Good to see Henderson Alvarez in the third have a 1-2-3 inning. It's only the sixth 1-2-3 inning Marlins pitching has had this series.
Puig clobbers one center field deep. Ruggiano looks up. That ball, top of the wall. Wow. 418 feet away. And I'm guessing about 14, 15 feet up.
First pitch again. We talked about it last night. Puig on first pitches hitting over 600. So that about a foot or maybe inches from going out. I guarantee he thinks it's out. It's out in most any other ballpark. Hey, he got the head down. He thinks it's out. You forgot where you were playing. Now you got to watch for him because he's really aggressive on the bases. So you have to be careful. He didn't try to take third.
One of the longest doubles you'll see. And it's Ethier, Ellis, and Schumacher of the Dodgers that'll try to get him over and get him in.
But he continues that trend, and why pitchers throw strikes on the first pitch still amazes me. With all the scouting, with all the reports that you have, When you see a guy's hitting 600 on first pitches, it amazes me.
So many pitchers are programmed these days to throw first pitch strikes. It's a stat that is tracked and a stat that is celebrated. How many first pitch strikes did he throw? But against Puig, you got to go against the norm.
Hey, he's hit 5 of his 12 home runs on first pitches.
That one pulled foul. We check in with Craig Minervini. Craig?
Rich, to your point, that's not a broadcaster stat that we're the only ones that know that one. We talked to Dan Jennings after the game the other day, and he threw out the stat. He's hitting almost 700 on first pitch stats. So everybody knows these stats, and although in the case the other day, Dan Jennings said, I'll stand by my pitch. It was low. I thought it was out of the zone enough, and Puig still hit it out of the ballpark.
He's got that kind of power.
Well, good try there by Alvarez to try to sneak that fastball under the hands of Ethier.
Count 2-2. Puig's at second. That is strike 3 called. Ethier didn't like it. Lingers at the plate.
Well, Alvarez just missed with the fastball in. This one, I think Ethier probably will think it's up. Not too many high strikes are called.
That's right down the middle of the plate.
It's got a lot of the plate.
It's not high.
It's a high strike.
Here's the one thing in that, and it's a point of emphasis that umpires have had for the last 4 or 5 years, is you call the pitch where it crosses the plate, not where the catcher catches it. Mathis had to cross over the plate to get it, and from the dugout, and maybe from Ethier's perspective, when a catcher reaches like that, it's got to be a ball, but it's not.
I think a lot of guys will be surprised when they see the replay of that.
And umpires are aiming for accuracy, and that was a strike. Oh, 1 pitch to A.J. Ellis. Soft swing. Alvarez has it. Fires to first. Throws about a 90-mile-an-hour fastball to Morrison to get the out. Puig is now at third. On a Saturday night, it's a big night. It's the Rockies, it's the Marlins, and it's Legends of Wrestling night. Arrive early, get autographs from former world champion Bret the Hitman Hart, Bill Goldberg, and over a dozen other superstars and legends after the game. Live wrestling on the West Plaza. Go to Marlins.com.
Maybe we could have the Mouth of the South up here to liven up the telecast.
The Mouth of the South. See, I have no knowledge of the wrestling.
Craig would know. Craig would know.
The Mouth of the South.
Yeah.
Schumacher.
He's like a manager. He wasn't a wrestler. He managed a couple guys. A lot of chatter around the ring.
Stop it. Here's the 0-1. Wow, great play by Mathis. Here comes Puig. Mathis shovels. Alvarez can't get it, and Puig scores.
Maybe not. The ball hit Schumacher.
Ah, it did.
So it's a dead ball.
Schumacher goes back to first. Puig goes back to third. It was fun to watch, though.
So that's a good thing that the ball hit Schumacher because the ball's dead.
I was amazed that Mathis got a piece of it to begin with.
It's a great effort by Mathis.
You see the home plate umpire saying, hey, ball's dead.
Ball's dead.
Then a 2-car pileup right at home plate.
Yeah, and I like the professionalism of both Puig and Alvarez. Is okay, no harm, no foul. They got up, they tapped each other. Everything's good.
Puig playing with that left wrist guard. Remember, on a diving catch, he turned that wrist in the outfield and missed a couple games. Puig flexing that left wrist.
I would suggest to kids, though, that are watching, if you have that play and you're the runner at third, come in feet first. Pitcher's not going to have as much fun then.
Pitch is outside to Juan Uribe. At the corners, 2 outs, scoreless game in the 4th.
Alvarez has hit Schumacher twice. each time with a breaking ball, too.
One on the back foot, the other one just clipped his shin. Alvarez can't find the plate now, and it's 2-0. Uribe 5 hits in the series, and he walked in the second. Now it's 3-0, and for whatever reason, Alvarez, who was cruising in the third, a 1-2-3 inning, including a strikeout of Adrian Gonzalez, can't find the plate right now. Remember, Puig opened the inning with a bomb of a double off the very top of the wall, just above the 418 sign in center. Either Alvarez wanted nothing to do with Uribe, or he just can't throw strikes. Here's Kershaw. The pitcher was on deck, but as we pointed out, Kershaw's a pretty good hitter for a pitcher.
Now he's going to have to throw strikes.
And he opens the at-bat, missing outside. Puig's doubled it. Probably went about 420 feet. Schumacher clipped on the breaking ball, and then Uribe just flat out walked. Kershaw makes it hurt. Liner to left. Up with it, Yelich. Runner holds. Dodgers get a run. And it's Kershaw who delivers.
Well, we've pointed out a couple of times he's a good hitter, especially with that fastball right out over the plate like that. Alvarez trying to throw a strike, and Kershaw with a nice swing, putting the Dodgers ahead.
He doesn't get much run support. That's the reason his record is where it is. That's a liner. Stanton comes on. It gets by him, and that's a disaster. Schumacher will score. Uribe will score. Kershaw will stop at third. And now the Dodgers have a 3-0 lead. And Carl Crawford drives in a couple.
Well, we've seen Crawford swing the bat pretty well today. Remember that first AB lined out to short. So he was picking up Alvarez good. And this ball, sinking line drive, just out of the reach. The problem is when you have a situation like that, you just can't let that ball get by you. If you don't think you're going to make a catch, you've got to keep it in front of you. It's going to be a double and 2 RBIs for Crawford.
Here is Punto, and again, Alvarez is missing and falling behind, and that's been the theme in this inning. Counts 1-0. It could have been worse. Had it not been Kershaw running at first, that might have scored 3.
And Crawford would have been at third.
looked like the power changeup that he throws, 88 miles an hour.
This changeup's in the same speed range as Jose Fernandez. They both throw that changeup about 88, 89 miles an hour.
To right, Stanton on the move, has it in right center. Big inning for the Dodgers. They push across 3 and lead it. Honda dealer for great lease and finance deals on fuel-efficient Hondas. By Coventry Healthcare of Florida, lighting the way to better health. And by Hialeah Park Casino, a world of entertainment. Come and live it. Now open. Now a 3-0 lead for the Dodgers.
It'll be interesting to see, Rich, how Clayton Kershaw performs after getting the 3-run lead. Of course, he helped himself with a big base hit and an RBI. But the first 3 innings for Kershaw, he really hasn't had the great command, but he's made pitches when he's needed to, and he hasn't given up any runs.
The other National League game going on right now, Arizona and Cincinnati are tied 1-1 in the bottom of the 4th in Cincinnati. The significance of that, well, the Dodgers are comfortably on top in the West, 8.5 games. Arizona's trying the best they can to climb up the wild card. They're 6 back of the Reds. Obviously, a win against the Reds, they'd be 5 back.
That is a Matt Latos start, 4 innings. He's given up just the 1 run.
Tonight, the Pirates are back in San Francisco. The Braves are in St. Louis. And the Rockies, who are here tomorrow night, are actually in Philly tonight. Kershaw, who gave up a single to Ed Lucas back in the 2nd, misses, and it's 1-0. Lucas Ruggiano Echeverria for the Fish. Speaking of the Rockies, here tomorrow, 7 o'clock start. South Florida Honda Dealers Drive, Marlins Live. Craig Minervini, Jeff Conine will be at the controls. Actually, Tim McDermott will be at the controls, their producer. But another solid shot into center field. And Lucas has a base hit. Lucas has had some big days against some of the best. Remember a 3-for-3 effort against Matt Harvey in New York. Now 2-for-2 against Kershaw here.
He's having a nice homestand. He's picking things up a little bit. 7 for 18. Talking about handling the controls. Just so Minervini and Niner aren't handling the controls of the Goodyear blimp.
There's the blimp. We're in constant contact with the blimp.
Keep it steady.
We could probably have the blimp go just about anywhere we want, right? Ruggiano, a sharp shot to short. Punto to Schumacher on to first. And the Dodgers turn a double play. Echeverria coming to the plate.
Tailor-made on that 6-4-3 double play. Mattingly had said the other day he was going to give Hanley Ramirez one of the games off, so Hanley not in there today with Punto playing short.
Danny Echeverria bounced into a fielder's choice in the second. Opportunities for the Marlins against Kershaw early. But as they say against an ace, if you can get to him early, do it, because later he gets better. That's a 7-pitch inning. Above Marlins Park. Time now for the Just for Men Play Like a Champ mustache and beard stats. Here we go. Carl Crawford as a Dodger. 87 games in 2013. 342 on base percentage. And so as we said earlier, he's kind of back to where he was before an injury-filled 2012 season in Boston and a nice 2013 here in Los Angeles. Adrian Gonzalez takes a strike.
All those runs the Dodgers scored, the 3 runs they scored in the 4th inning, came with 2 out.
Gonzalez reaches out, lines one foul down the left field line. Everybody moved up a game in the Central in the National League. The Cardinals are within a game of the Pirates. The Reds are within 2.5. Reds and Diamondbacks tied 1-1 in the 5th. Pirates are in San Francisco tonight. Cardinals host the Braves.
San Diego got a well-pitched game last night to beat the Pirates from Ian Kennedy.
No friend of the Dodgers is Ian Kennedy.
No.
Adrian Gonzalez swings and misses. What else is on the FP&L scoreboard? That Washington and the Cubs, the Nationals will try to get Donnie Murphy out, which it hasn't been easy.
They had a wild game last night. Couple of 3-run homers for the Nationals. Jason Worth and Scott Hairston.
Inspired by the photo we showed of his grandfather, Sam Hairston, with Jerry in the lineup for the Dodgers last night. Yasiel Puig, just a mammoth double that plopped off the top of the wall in straightaway center. He takes a rip at a high fastball. It's 0-2. Now, Tommy Hutton, if the book is don't throw him anything around the plate on the first pitch.
You go out of the strike zone high with a 97 or 98 mile an hour fastball, or get him to chase a breaking ball. Two choices.
Solano makes the catch,
but you don't throw him a strike.
Andre Ethier comes up now. And he blasts one right center field and deep. And that's up against the right field wall. And Ethier has another hit against the Marlins. Boy, it doesn't stop with him. 26th double of the year. The all-time leading hitter against the Marlins among active players.
Boy, and when you get a pitch like that and you're as hot as he's been hot for a while too, since early part of June. And keep in mind his average is in the 270s now, but since the early part of June, Ethier's hit over 300. So he got off to a slow start, but he's swinging it now.
A.J. Ellis. Ellis, the Dodger catcher, pulls it foul. He's 0 for 2. He's bounced twice to Ed Lucas. Well, Daisuke Matsuzaka wasn't unemployed long. The Mets have signed him. Mets not commenting on the deal because it's not official, but it's being reported. To center, Ruggiano got a long way to go. He's not going to get there, and Ellis sends it all the way to the wall. It'll score Ethier. A.J. Ellis muscles up, and Alvarez gives up two very loud and long doubles.
And another 2-out run. Ruggiano, you can see where he's playing. He's not deep, and that's normally where Ruggiano plays. And Marisnick plays a little deeper center field. I don't know if he would have gotten that either. But Ruggiano likes to play there. He feels comfortable going back on balls. But that one stung by A.J. Ellis.
Chuck Hernandez out to talk to Alvarez. And the Dodgers have a 4-0 lead. And, of course, they've got Clayton Kershaw on the mound, who, although he hasn't been sharp, is still shutting out Miami. Alvarez will try to keep from hitting Schumacher.
Well, you look at that inning, Schumacher being hit, the walk to Uribe, and they both scored.
Yep. Well, Clayton Kershaw had a 2-out RBI hit that started the scoring. A slow breaking ball misses. Schumacher probably pretty pleased that Mark McGwire is the hitting coach of the Dodgers. Schumacher, one of those Southern California guys that would hit with McGwire before he became the Cardinals hitting coach.
Now the Dodgers have 6 hits. 4 of those hits are doubles, too.
One coming. And it's in. So Daisuke, who was at AAA with Cleveland, has signed with the Mets, according to reports.
I mean, the Marlins could see Daisuke and September, one of those doubleheader games.
That one goes to the screen, and a difficult inning gets a little messier with Ellis now at third base.
He's having trouble throwing that slider, that breaking ball, to the left-handed hitters, especially Schumacher. Be a wild pitch.
Strike. It's 3-2. Reds have lost a little depth in their bullpen. Jonathan Broxton, right-handed setup man, on the disabled list with a flexor strain in his forearm that will require surgery. Liner into center field, and that's a base hit. Skip Schumacher finally gets to hit the ball, and he delivers 3 consecutive hits, and Alvarez seemingly has hit some sort of a wall.
Well, the wall he's hit is his inability to get his breaking ball over, and the Dodgers are having good swings at the fastball.
Juan Uribe now. He smokes that one. Echeverria gathers, gets the out, but not before the Dodgers put 2 more on the board, and they've handed Clayton Kershaw a 5-0 lead.
Marlins Baseball está disponible en español vía Zap y es presentado por Hialeah Park Casino, abierto ahora.
In Miami, the Dodgers are showing why they're the best team in baseball right now. An impressive effort from that man, Clayton Kershaw. And the offense has chalked up 5 runs on 7 hits with some really good 2-out hitting. And the list of superlatives continues for the Dodgers. They've won 44 of 54, 12 of their last 14. They're 22 over and 8.5 up. High water mark for the season. 27-5 since the All-Star break. The Dodger Dogs have won culinary awards throughout the year. I mean, everything's great in Los Angeles right now.
Yeah, they're riding high. Dodger fans riding a lot higher than they were in May.
Jeff Mathis, Jake Marisnick is on deck. And the Ramirez getting the day off.
Hanley riding high.
playing well. Pat Sajak looked really good last series. I think you're getting a higher level of celebrity.
Yeah, the B-listers were coming out in April and May. Now they're getting the A-listers. Jane Seymour was cited.
Kitty Cat's coming out then.
Kitty Cat, yeah.
Then life is good. Here's Marisnik now, which signals the end of the day for Alvarez. How about in your day as a Dodger? Who were the A-listers? Was it Doris Day?
Yeah.
Rock Hudson?
I have a name, I can't think of it, but she was always there too.
Lana Turner? That was a little early.
That was a little early.
Raquel Welch?
Probably. Used to be a great initiation, and guys would have fun with rookies. Like later on, coming in to Dodger Stadium.
Punto is there, and he makes the catch.
As a visiting player, and if you had a rookie or so on the bench, you'd stand on top of the dugout and start staring into the stands and go, oh my goodness, look who that, and he'd name some star. And then you get the rookie to go up and start looking into the seats and try to find out where they were.
Hey, Tommy, how about Carol Wayne? Did she appear?
Angie Dickinson. I knew I'd come up with her name.
She was with the Rat Pack, right?
Yeah, Angie Dickinson.
Sinatra and Sammy Davis Jr. They spent most of their time in Vegas, though. Here's the 0-1.
Well, when Lasorda was managing, he'd have many visits in his office, in his manager's office, by Frank Sinatra.
Yelich up. One and two to Christian Yelich, Miami's leadoff hitter. The Dodgers are a runaway train right now, on top 5-0. It's held, and that's strike three. Nice job by A.J. Ellis. Kershaw's cruising now.
Velasco pitched last Sunday, missed all 4 games here, didn't miss his teammates, at top of almost all the big categories for the Marlin pitchers, including ones that aren't quite as, well, popular. Quality starts, Home runs allowed.
With innings come homers.
Runs allowed, right?
With innings come runs.
Which one are you most proud of when you look at those numbers, strikeouts and strikeouts per 9 innings or what have you?
Wins. Wins. There's one reason why I play this game, and that's to win. No matter how it goes down, good or bad, great or average, wins is all that matters. And I take pride in my whole career, my whole life, and just winning is the number one goal. So.
Guys, 81 of them for Ricky Nolasco, all-time leader for the Marlins, and he does expect Jose Fernandez will pass a lot of those great records, but that really, we all know, being around Ricky, the competitor that he was, that really marks him being a winning pitcher, and he's continued it with L.A. 4-1. He'll pitch tomorrow night against Boston at home. It'll only be the 3rd start at home. 6 of his starts so far have been on the road.
All right, thank you, Craig. Clayton Kershaw is up. He had a big base hit in the 4th, an RBI single. Dodgers got 3 in the 4th, a pair of runs in the 5th. And here in the 6th, it's Dan Jennings who takes over for Henderson Alvarez.
That was great to catch up with Ricky. All smiles. He's got a terrific ball club behind him. You saw his numbers as a Dodger. He's pitched well. Deals with a lot of family, coming to just about every game, but enjoys it all the time.
Be interesting to see where Ricky Nolasco is pitching next year.
Good point.
Because he's a free agent next year. Certainly he's pitched well for the Dodgers, as we've talked about. The Dodgers are going to have their hands full signing this guy, though. I mean, Clayton Kershaw is at the end of a 2-year deal. He's got 1 more year of arbitration. And, I mean, if they're going to hand Zach Greinke a 6-year, $147 million deal.
Kershaw deserves more.
Yes, he does.
If you look at it that way, yeah.
(3-2). And Jennings strikes him out. A weekend of the Colorado Rockies after wrestling Saturday night.
Hey, forget about all that. Saturday night, Jose Fernandez is pitching.
All right. Well,
bottom line, period.
Okay.
Forget about Mouth of the South, any of that stuff.
Well, after that comes Sunday.
Go ahead.
And it's a family Sunday, so it's a little more calm at the ballpark. Kids get a Danny Echeverria baseball jersey, courtesy of Chevrolet, and they get to run the bases after the game in the Diamond Dash. Go to Marlins.com for details.
But we try to remind people all the time, and I know you and I are asked, and yes, Jose Fernandez is pitching again Saturday night against the Rockies.
That should be the headline. Broken bat, Echeverria up to get it, and Crawford is out.
Well timed by Echeverria. When a ball is hit and it's not hit solidly because Crawford broke his bat there, sometimes you mistime the leap, but he timed that just right.
Switch hitting shortstop Nick Punto now with 2 outs in the 6th. Really an uneven start for Henderson Alvarez. The 5 runs. 2 walks doesn't really show how wild he was. He hit Schumacher a couple of times.
Had a little trouble commanding his breaking ball. And really the first time in 8 consecutive starts that he failed to go 6 or more innings.
Meanwhile, Kershaw has shut out Miami on just 3 hits.
And has gotten more efficient. Remember, he threw 20 pitches the first inning. The last 2 innings, he's thrown 18.
Jennings' breaking ball misses, and it's 2-1. Punto, a longtime Twin, originally drafted by the Phillies. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Solano gets the out. A 1-2-3 inning for Dan Jennings in the 6th. Bottom of the 6th coming up. 5-0 Dodgers. That's some cool stuff. That's how they used to do video rejoins back in the 40s, little Benny Goodman style. Along with Tommy Hutton, Craig Minervini, Jeff Conine, Rich Waltz with you. In Miami, Clayton Kershaw has not really been dominant. Miami had opportunities early, but he's pretty much shut them down the last few innings. And, of course, he was the guy that got the Dodgers started with an RBI single to left. Donovan Solano, Giancarlo Stanton, Logan Morrison. And Kershaw misses in. Kershaw looking for win number 13. If you were to award the Cy Young today on the body of work that everybody has had in the National League, is this your guy?
I would think because of all the other numbers surrounding him, as well as probably going to have 13 wins. The leader right now, there are 3 guys with 14. But they don't have the rest of the resume that Kershaw has. So, yes.
So, like, if you got all their resumes, you would call their references.
Call the references. But Jordan Zimmerman, Francisco Liriano having a good year. Adam Wainwright. But when you start looking at ERA, strikeouts, whip, walks and hits to innings pitched, none better.
Well, there you go. Major League ranks. This is not National League stuff. This is Major League stuff.
So that's going to be part of that resume.
I think his references on his resume are probably just any hitter in the National League. Giancarlo Stanton struck out and then blasted a double. Kershaw figures he'll stick with a fastball. Stanton hit a breaking ball his last time up.
And you start looking at the ERA leaders. Of course, Kershaw in the National League on top. Matt Harvey second. Jose Fernandez third.
Chopper to short. Punto. Schumacher. Another double play. Second double play that the Dodgers have turned.
Each time the Marlins have gotten leadoff batter on in the last few innings. In the 4th, After a leadoff single by Lucas, double play 6-4-3. Ruggiano hit in 2. Once again, 6-4-3.
Morrison bounced out, struck out.
And I don't think, Rich, in the American League, there's any doubt as to who the Cy Young winner is going to be. Because when you're 18-1 right now, you have a pretty good shot.
Max Scherzer.
Max Scherzer. And he's second in the league in ERA. Scherzer. So would the Detroit Tigers match up really well against the Dodgers? I think so. You got Verlander, you got Scherzer, you have Anibal Sanchez or Fister, whoever you go 3 or 4.
You could have Anibal Sanchez starting against Ricky Nolasco.
Yeah. I think the Dodgers have a more complete, a better bullpen than the Tigers.
Morrison gets a hit, lines it into left. After the ball he stalled it in the first, he deserves a hit. Miami's first hit since the 4th when Ed Lucas led off the inning with a single, and here is Lucas with 2 outs in the 6th.
And who would have thought, Rich, at the beginning of the year, that you and I here in the 3rd week of August, and talking about the National League batting race, would be talking about 2 guys that are tied right now at 332, Yadier Molina and Chris Johnson.
Lucas to right, Puig is out there, and he makes the catch.
We'll discuss
amongst ourselves and you when we return. 5-0 Dodgers. You've been waiting for has arrived. Fox Sports Live. Jay Onrait, Dan O'Toole, joined by Donovan McNabb, Gary Payton, Andy Roddick, and Carissa Thompson. Bring you everything you need to know about the world of sports. Fox Sports Live airs nightly on Fox Sports 1. Dan Jennings for his 2nd inning. Adrian Gonzalez, Yasiel Puig, Andre Ethier sweeping breaking ball for a strike. Jennings took over for Alvarez in the 6th. Alvarez 5 innings, gave up all 5 runs, all 5 earned.
pretty amazing, a guy who has been such a solid hitter. The Marlins have struck out Adrian Gonzalez 6 times in this series. He's usually a guy who puts the ball in play, drives in runs. They pitched him pretty well.
He crushes that ball to center, deep. Ruggiano's been running back all day, and this one is off the wall, and Adrian Gonzalez has got his 2nd hit of the day, his 6th hit of the series.
Wow, another double, 5th double for the Dodgers today. And boy, can he swing. See all those doubles he's hit. Over the last 7 years, Adrian Gonzalez has averaged 38 doubles a year.
And a lot of the doubles have been to the deepest part of the park. Mike Redmond's going to make a double switch. And Adrian Gonzalez right now is at second base with Yasiel Puig coming up. AJ Ramos comes out of the pen. Gil Velasquez is in, and Velasquez will be at third base. Sorted out after a Metro PCS call to the pen. That would be Gil Velasquez, who returns to the big leagues. Marlins had Velasquez up last year. That's AJ Ramos. Velasquez goes in the 9 spot, and Ramos in the 5 spot. Yasiel Puig. Sweeping breaking ball for a strike.
First pitch swinging.
That one pops off the glove of Jeff Mathis.
Well, it looked like a backup slider. It would be a pass ball, I would imagine. Ramos made great pitches to Puig the other night and struck him out on sliders away, but that slider backed up, and pass ball will be charged to Jeff Mathis.
Fastball, Puig cranks it to center. Ruggiano makes the catch. But that's going to drive home the run. And that's the expense of a pass ball. Sacrifice fly by Puig.
You always play this game. You never know what happens if he hits that fly ball and Gonzalez is at second. Gonzalez doesn't tag up and go to third. He doesn't run that well.
Andre Ethier. He has one of the doubles. Tommy, the attendance has not been announced, but you can see someone's looking for sunflower seeds out near second base.
Word has gotten out.
Tough to get in, though, to the place. If you're, I mean, you got to show up early before they shut the roof.
Yeah, once you get in, though, you can stay.
A ringneck dove, we're told.
Our crack staff ornithologist has helped us out with that one.
Ethier blasted a double to center in the fifth. Now see, now there's a little competition.
She's playing shy.
See, in Miami, you usually see that on South Beach more so than at the ballpark.
She was playing hard to get.
I suggest we end this line of commentary.
It started that way when I said ornithologist.
A.J. Ellis, he had a mammoth double his last time up, and he takes a fastball up.
All of a sudden now, A.J. Ramos having a little trouble in the strike zone. So a couple of A.J.'s facing each other.
Ethier's at first. And Ellis fouls it back. That Arizona-Cincinnati game, which obviously figures in the race in the Central and in the wild card, is 1-1, bottom 7 in Cincinnati.
Just so you have all the facts, Alejandro Ramos, the Alejandro A.J., and Andrew James Ellis for A.J.
A.J. walks A.J. Next watch party is Tuesday night at Duffy Sports Grill. We'll be up in Washington as the Marlins will play the Nationals. You can win prizes, tickets to upcoming games, meet Billy and the Energy team, and enjoy great food and drink specials at Duffy's.
You know, we saw A.J. Ramos have this struggle a couple of outings ago against the Giants. He came in, he picked up a strikeout, but then he walked 3 consecutive hitters. Quick conversation with Chuck Hernandez. Still try to get back in the strike zone.
Still only 1 out in the inning. And Schumacher, who's had a busy day, trying to dodge baseballs. He's been hit twice. Once in the foot, once in the shin. And then knocked home a run in that 5th inning with an RBI single. Ellis and Ethier out there.
Pretty good chance Schumacher's going to get a fastball here, too. He got it, but out of the strike zone.
Yeah, ball strike ratios like this can be a nightmare for any reliever. Ramos gets a strike, and it's 2-1. The Rockies will come in here tomorrow night. The Rockies in Philly tonight. Colorado is 10 under right now, 59 and 69. Two. Roller wide of first. Ricky Nolasco and the Dodgers get the Red Sox tomorrow night. Ricky gets the start against John Lackey. Dodger Stadium. Ricky will get the start. Vince Scully will be suiting up. Nancy B on the keyboards.
Should be tickling the ivories. The Red Sox had a big offensive output last night in San Francisco.
Well, Ramos has walked 3 in a row. Chuck Hernandez is on the phone, and this is not trending well for Ramos. However, for the Dodgers, the Toyota trend, unbeaten in last 17 series since they lost 2 of 3 against Pittsburgh. And actually that's now 18 because the Dodgers have won 2 of the 3. They won't be beaten in this series.
You know, you get to a point where, to be quite honest, at the major league level, if you come out of a bullpen, you can't walk 3 guys in a row.
Uribe fouls it back and out of play.
And that's what's been frustrating with A.J. Ramos. He has outings where he's been just tremendous. His last time out against the Dodgers. Made good pitches, struck out Puig, got through the inning. But then the outing before that, he had 3 consecutive walks.
I don't know that you'll find Jose Uribe's swing on a hitting video anywhere, but it served him well. Not on that one. We apologize for the swing and for the profanity.
That would not be on the video either. But all of a sudden, after the 3 straight walks, AJ comes back and makes some great pitches to Juan Uribe. Got him with a slider.
Kershaw fouls it back to the screen. 0-2. Kershaw 1 for 3 with an RBI single. He is shutting out Miami. He's got the bags loaded again.
We have talked about looking ahead where the Marlins need to fill holes. And a lot of times we don't talk about the bullpen, but the bullpen needs some work for next year to get some guys roles where they're going to be. And that's for a future discussion.
Down goes Kershaw. Dodgers add a run and lead it in Miami 6-0. Has learned making tires that go the distance inspires what they roll into yours. Goodyear, more driven.
There's the let's see, it looks pretty good, pretty clear on the 826.
A little bit of a slowdown on the merge to 95 northbound.
See, we do the weather every once in a while. We might as well incorporate traffic.
Now that wire that's hanging down there is what they use when the blimp comes in for a landing. The guys grab the wire and then secure it so the blimp doesn't float away.
We forgot to ask Corky, one of the blimp captains, when he was on with us during the fantasy auction show, what happens if they miss the wire? If they're trying to come in for a landing and the guys on the ground miss the wire.
Go back up, come back down again. Derek Reed is the captain of the blimp.
We saw Kershaw work through the first 3 innings, and it was a start that he would be the first to say he wasn't on the top of his game. He threw 54 pitches. The next 3 innings, once he was given the lead, he's thrown 29 pitches.
Well, he has a long list of great numbers. We have shown him to you a couple of times. Looks like he's headed for a Cy Young, barring some sort of injury or slump. The number that we heard during the break about Kershaw, when he gets the lead, is unbelievable.
I believe when he has a lead of 4 runs or more, he's 50-0.
That's pretty good.
And he's on his way. If he finishes this inning here, this is his 7th inning, it'll give him 22 of his 27 starts where he's gone 7 innings or more.
Ruggiano bangs that one into left field. Left a breaking ball out. Ruggiano got it. And he singles to open up the 7th. That's updated. National League leaders. See Jose Fernandez, 2.41. He pitches on Saturday, folks.
Some people were saying, well, with the ERA as it is, 174, 180 when he came into the game, how could he have lost 7 games?
Lack of run support.
Yeah, you've talked about the lack of run support. Just out of curiosity, I look back at that year, 1968, when Bob Gibson led the world with a 1.12 earned run average. He lost 9 games that year.
It's hard to imagine. The Dodgers are going to turn another double play. Punto onto first. And that's the 3rd double play the Marlins have rolled into, and Punto has started all of them.
You know, I don't know. That's a good example. That's not a good pitch to go after early in the count. It tied up Echeverria. I don't know if you can work on in the offseason or in spring training how not to hit into double plays. I don't think you can work on that. That's the 18th double play he's hit into. What you work on is pitch selection and counts and situations when you have that guy at first base, how your approach is.
Absolutely. I mean, both hitting coaches that Echeverria's had, that's kind of been the theme, is try to get a better pitch to hit, especially early in the count. Gonzalez makes the catch. Kershaw, 8 pitches, and that's all it takes to get through the 7th. To the 8th, 6-0 Dodgers.
Well, bats were kind of quiet for a while, but the big hit in the 4th inning by the Dodgers was supplied by Clayton Kershaw, their pitcher. How about Carl Crawford? Got this ball just out of the reach of Giancarlo, and that brought in 2 more runs on Crawford's double. In the 5th inning, A.J. Ellis. There have been a lot of balls hit to straightaway center field. Schumacher, he swung the bat well. The Dodgers continue to add on in the 7th inning. Yasiel Puig, deep fly ball. He also doubled off the wall to center, but that sac fly brought in Adrian Gonzalez to give the Dodgers their 6-0 lead and bring Mike Dunn in this game.
So Dunn gets the baton in the 8th. Dodgers doing nothing in this series to say otherwise, that they're still the hottest team going in baseball. If they win this ball game, it'll be 13 of their last 15, 45 of their last 55. An incredible march, and we talked about it a week and a half ago when we were in Atlanta, and brought it up the other day. For the Dodgers, Yasiel Puig and Juan Uribe, if they stay not even at this pace, which is almost impossible to maintain the rest of the season, but I mean, if they just play well, they could catch Atlanta and end up with home field advantage at this rate. Here's Crawford.
Yeah, as we talked about with the injury to Jason Hayward, the broken jaw, he's going to miss 4 to 6 weeks. That'll put a little damper on Atlanta's run in the next few games. Right now, Rich, if you were to handicap Dodgers, Pirates, Cardinals, Braves, even throwing in Cincinnati, who would you like?
Well, having seen what I've seen for the last 4 days, it's hard not to like the Dodgers. You know, the one thing about the Cardinals is they have been in a ton of elimination game situations over the last, 2 years, 11 and 12, and have come out pretty well in that, although they did blow the lead in the championship series against the Giants last year. They won the wild card game. They came back and won that incredible comeback in Game 5 of the division series against the Nationals. So I give the Cardinals, of the 3 Central teams, I'd probably lean the Cardinals' way. The challenge for the Braves and the Dodgers, if this Dodger lead gets to double digits, it's 8.5, is how do you stay sharp?
That's always a challenge. It's an age-old question. Would you rather be the team that clinches it 10 days before and then line your staff and give guys rest, or would you rather be the team that has to fight and scratch till that very last day and then go into postseason?
Done with a strikeout of Crawford. If it ended today, the wild card playoff would be in St. Louis with the Cardinals and the Reds. The Braves would play the winner in the division series.
So you could have a Latos-Wainwright matchup in that wild card game. How about that?
Yeah, depending on where your rotation is at the time. Oftentimes, to get into that wild card game, you don't have a chance to set your rotation. Which has been one of the arguments in the last year or two since the extra wild card was added. Instead of a one-game playoff, make it best 2 of 3. And that would really force a wild card team to burn through their rotation before they got to the division series.
Yeah, and in a way, I don't know if I like that, but in a way it would penalize them a little and reward the team that didn't have to do that. Because you have to put some merit on the 162 game schedule.
Solano there, and he makes the catch. Punto is retired. Mike Dunn having a nice inning here in the 8th. Well, the news on Jason Hayward, we were talking about it yesterday, is that he has a pair of jaw fractures and is undergoing surgery today. 4 to 6 weeks.
Then you wonder when he does come back and is able to do some baseball stuff, how will his strength be? And boy, a lot of things to factor in.
Ruggiano makes the catch. Done a very quick 8th inning. Lozano even made the promo. How about that? Rockies and Marlins. Julius Tassin against Tom Kohler tomorrow night. Gil Velasquez up. Velasquez getting his first AB of the season. Velasquez, a guy that grew up in Southern California. And he's facing Kershaw here in the bottom of the 8th. Clayton Kershaw has been terrific for the Dodgers. Steve Cishek in Miami's pen.
Cishek needs a little work. Velasquez hitting, he was hitting 275 for New Orleans.
One hopper from Velasquez, and he's thrown out at first. For Velasquez, that was his 73rd Major League at bat. There's Yelich now. Yelich 0 for 2. You look up and down the lineup for the Marlins, and there's just 5 scattered hits. A Stanton double, the only extra base hit.
I told you at the beginning of the game, too, Kershaw came into this game with 190 in the 3rd inning, so he's working in his 198th inning and has much better command of that fastball now than he did in the first 2 innings. He has thrown a couple of shutouts this year.
Boy, and he's just keeping on. Strikes out Yelich for the 3rd time. By inning.
Look at the efficiency, and a lot of that started after he got the lead. I don't know if it goes hand in hand, but he was able to put things together. That's what great pitchers do. So he has 7 career shutouts.
How do you keep him sharp and not burn him out before?
That's a great point.
October.
That's a great point. You don't want to skip him. You might give him a day, an extra couple of days. When he's cruising in a game like this, you might cut him off at 6 innings, 7 innings, but hard to say. And then on the other hand, a guy like this, he may just breeze right through the playoffs and throw the ball the way he has all season. I don't know if there really is a formula that has been proven to work.
Well, that's evident across baseball with the Nationals trying to figure out what works for Tommy John surgery. The Mets and the Marlins trying to figure out what works for young starters. Junto on the run. 12 pitches from Kershaw. Slacker. MLB.com at bat, #1 source for live baseball everywhere you go. Available for iPhone, iPad, Android, BlackBerry 10. At Bat delivers Marlins baseball and all Major League Baseball with live audio, pitch tracking, stats, news, highlights, and more. Text at bat to 31826 or go to Marlins.com for details.
I remember the other night when Steve Cishek came in the game that Jose Fernandez started. At the time he was warming up, it was a save situation, but in the 8th inning, the Marlins scored 3 runs. He still came in because he needed to get some work. He threw the ball well, gave up a double to Carl Crawford, and that was it.
Cishek comes in. He gets Yasiel Puig, Andre Ethier, A.J. Ellis. 4, 5, 6 in the Dodger order. Puig doubled in the 4th. 2 hits in this series, and they've both been hit a long way. In fact, his double in the 4th was hit farther than his home run earlier in the series. Look at this, Tommy. Brian Wilson's up.
And Don Mattingly talking to the media before the game. He had numerous questions, and he was getting them every day. When's Brian Wilson going to pitch? And he said his bullpen has come together so well that everybody has their role. They've been playing well, and he just had to find a spot.
Puig gets hit by Cishek. And is on his way to first.
Targets up and away. Jeff Mathis wanted that fastball up and away. He's seen Puig chase a few of those, and it just got away totally from Steve Cishek.
Puig's okay. Ethier's up. Man, Ruggiano's been running back a lot today. And he goes way back to get it. And rob Ethier of extra bases.
This is a day that guys can kid around a little bit with Ruggiano maybe tomorrow and say, hey, you got some track shoes. You may want to have some track shoes for tomorrow. But he has covered ground well, as he always does. He's had a lot of ground to cover.
A.J. Ellis. Cishek throws a strike. Well, it's a homestand that's not gone well for the Fish. Especially coming off the 3-game series in Kansas City where Miami won 2 against a hot Royals team. The Giants jumped the Fish for 14 runs in the opener. Won the 2nd game. Marlins got the 3rd game. And then beat the Dodgers on the first night of the 4-game series. Since then, it's been all Dodgers.
Well, and it's been a homestand, Rich, that there has not been good baseball play. A lot of errors, a lot of mistakes. Don Mattingly will take his troops west and take on the Red Sox tomorrow night.
Ellis to right. Stanton. There's 2 outs. Here comes Schumacher. That game in Cincinnati has hit the top of the 9th, and the Reds got a run in the bottom of the 8th. And so, in to close it for the Reds is Sam LeCure. Schumacher fouls it back and counts 0-1. Tom Kohler tomorrow night for the Fish. Jhoulys Chacín for the Rockies. Jose Fernandez Saturday night against Jeff Manship. That's a Saturday night game. Jacob Turner, Jorge De La Rosa on Sunday. Puig stands alone at first. Checkers with the Marlins live, and that's coming up. Two balls, two strikes. Dodgers giving the day off to Mark Ellis, to Hanley Ramirez. Got him outside corner. Cishek works a scoreless night. Marlins get their last swings. We may get our first look at the beard. Brian Wilson. And the Dodgers, this has got to be odd for a Dodger fan and certainly for a Giant fan that happened upon the ball game. Unleash the beard. Those folks have been here every night, all bearded up, ready to go, and today it pays off. Brian Wilson comes in the ball game, the three-time All-Star, who had a terrific run in 7 years in San Francisco.
Boy, 48 saves in 2010. Doesn't throw that mid to upper 90s. But the word was in his rehab stints as he was pitching in the minor leagues, his control was impeccable.
Wilson had his first Tommy John surgery at LSU.
Even Don Mattingly, when he said, well, I got to try to figure a spot to get him in. By the way, here's a little bit of an answer to what we were talking about. Other circumstances earlier in the year, you'd probably see Kershaw out to try to get the shutout, finish things off. But even Mattingly said, I'm curious and interested to watch and see how Wilson throws, and still he gets 94 across the plate.
His workout regimen is legendary. One of the hardest workers in the game.
Well, has to be a terrific feeling for him. The last time he appeared in a big league game was April 12th last year.
Very satisfying to come all the way back. Stanton strikes out. Wilson gets him on a breaking ball. Comes in and catches the corner. AT&T U-verse Twitter poll. Don Mattingly, Manager of the Year. Twitterverse says yes.
And you know what? If he wins it, I'm not going to have any argument with him. I threw out Clint Hurdle, especially with what he went through the first couple of months of the season. Some good sliders so far from Brian Wilson.
The issues that Mattingly has are vastly different than the issues that Clint Hurdle has.
Yes.
Ball and a strike to Morrison. Morrison hits it hard. It's the second time he's blasted one Schumacher's way. We check in with Craig Minervini.
Rich, the question is, would you shave for $1 million? According to Radar Online, a new razor company called 800razors.com has offered Brian Wilson $1 million to shave his beard as part of their sporty, clean-shaven look. Apparently, his folks are negotiating with 800razors.com to become the company's brand ambassador. Wilson's people want him to match his salary, which is $1 million this year. We'll see if he does it.
Do you think Wilson's people have beards as well?
I'd like to see his people meet with our people.
Greg Dobbs getting it bad. I would be all for that. And from what I've heard about Brian Wilson, I don't know him, but it'd be great to see him take the bet, make the $1 million, and then give a chunk of that to charity.
Yeah, the Marlins, by the way, on the verge of being shut out for a Major League leading high 15th time.
Such has been the story of a year in which the Marlins, in a full rebuild mode, have had trouble scoring runs. That's a shot, and it's fair. Dobbs, a rocket into the corner. Greg Dobbs around first, on his way to second. Another pinch hit for Greg Dobbs, the active leader in Major League Baseball.
And number 9 on the year. 9th pinch hit, just rakes that slider.
94th in his career.
I correct myself, the Los Angeles Angels have been shut out 17 times this year.
Well, National League. There's Ruggiano. Then he takes down low. One for two is Ruggiano. Wilson challenging with a fastball. 94 is where he's topped out. Coming back from Tommy John surgery isn't easy. Coming back from a second Tommy John surgery is even tougher.
The correction, Rich, on the shutouts. I'm starting to lose it here as we fade into the afternoon. The Marlins do lead the major leagues, being shut out 15 times if they do not score. The Dodgers lead the major leagues in pitching shutouts.
Well, Brian Wilson is trying to add one more to that total. Misses in.
The other thing in this series, Rich, it's been a clean series for the Dodgers defensively. They have not committed an error in this series.
There was a report earlier this year that 1/3 of current Major League pitchers have had Tommy John surgery. Jason Isringhausen had 3 Tommy John surgeries. And Brian Wilson, his trademark finish. The beard is back and he looks sharp. And the Dodgers shut out Miami 6-0. Clayton Kershaw goes the first 8. Former Giant Brian Wilson finishes the 9th. And the Dodgers take 3 of 4 from Miami.